Good morning, friends. Welcome to Behind the Word, a show that helps you recognize the power, codes, and frequencies behind your words. I am your host, alchemist, and teacher, Kelly Castle. I am launching this show because we are at a point in human history where I believe we need as many people as possible to fully express their unique, beautiful, quirky, smart, loving, caring, imaginative selves, to embody divinity. That means learning how to manifest. That means doing self-work, self-healing. That means studying and practicing the lessons passed down to us from Pythagoras, Plato, Socrates, Jesus, the Indian gurus and Egyptians, and many more. The information I'm going to present to you in this show has largely been hidden from the public for the past 1,500 or so years. That's a long time. The age of Pisces, most of the age of Pisces, which was around the last 2,000 years, and now we are in the age of Aquarius, so it's time to make some updates to how humanity is operating. It has been hidden from the general public because if you don't know the power that you truly have access to, the powers that be can control you and pull more power and wealth to themselves, right? We see this going on in the world today. People who make it to the top use this information. Presidents, elite athletes, musicians, celebrities, world leaders, Forbes 500 company business leaders, they all know how to use these ancient alchemical secrets and tools to manifest. Right now is a make or break moment for humanity. Sink or swim, zero-sum game. It is time to step up as a collective, as this human collective consciousness, as a community. It is time to realize the incredible divine being you truly are. Yes, I said divine. I am going to help in your journey realizing your divinity by teaching you what you are actually putting out into the universe every time you think, say, or write a word. There are frequencies and codes embedded in words. These codes embody energies like love, curiosity, freedom, wisdom, joy, expression, success, service, masculine and feminine energy, but they can also express the opposite. They can express hate, jealousy, fear, guilt. So it's really important to be conscious and aware of how you are using these words. I have found from my own experience that when I use words consciously, there's that word again, meaning with awareness, I can focus my energy with laser-like precision towards the thing I am manifesting or amplifying, and it happens faster. It's like magic. So this is my offering to you. I will be here live on YouTube and Instagram. Hello, Instagram family. They're over here as well on my phone every Monday through Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So make sure you check and see your time zone to see what time I go live. Hit subscribe so that you get notified when a new video goes up or when I am live. If you get something from this video today, give it a thumbs up and tell a friend. Share the link in a text message or go to the Instagram page and send someone today's word, which will be in a post on Instagram after this episode. So there's multiple ways you can share what you learned today with your friends, family, and colleagues. And the Instagram handle is behind the word followed by all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you just start typing it in, it will come up. Finally, I just want to let you know that The holidays are here as I'm recording this video. It's now December 2021. I will tell you more about the kinds of readings I offer at the end, but if this information resonates with you and you have wanted to get to know yourself on a deeper level, you can book a reading or you can gift someone a reading. Go to my Calendly link below and click on gift reading, and you can see all of the readings that I have to offer. When you gift someone, you will put in your name, the amount, and the name of the person to which you are gifting, as well as their email so that I can get in touch with them. I promise I won't add them to any sort of a list. I'm just going to reach out to them and let them know that you've gifted them a reading. So there are my announcements for today. Let us go ahead and get into today's word. Today's word is practice. Up until this point in my life, I have made my living and spent most of my time as a professional classical musician. I play a very funny instrument called the bassoon. So I've spent a lot of my life practicing. And of course, there's many different types of practice. You can practice meditation, you can practice sports, you can practice instruments, you can practice cooking. That word you can apply to anything that you want to learn to do well. It is a habit. And I learned how to practice because my mom would drop me off at school at 7:30 to be able to get to work early. So I was almost given or gifted this time to practice in the mornings at school. I was like, well, I have nothing else to do for an hour, so I might as well practice my instrument. And that's what got me in the habit of doing that. And I did that pretty much from 6th grade through college, really most of my life. I had that habit. So it's been a very important word to me, and it is one of my favorite words and verbs to talk about with people. It can really be a verb or a noun, right? Your practice is the noun. To practice is a verb. So let's just drop in here. Since we've already talked about listen and hear this week, we'll do one more little listen or hear drop-in meditation. So if you are in a safe place to do so, for example, if you're driving, don't close your eyes right now. Keep driving. But if you are in a safe place to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. And if you're standing, feel your feet firmly connected to the ground. However you are standing or sitting, go ahead and make your spine a little taller. Roll your shoulders back a couple of times so that they sit on your back. Again, make that spine nice and tall as you're listening to this. Even if you're walking around doing something, just stand up a little taller. Now, take a big breath in with me. And exhale it out. Again, inhale in. And exhale out. One more. Big inhale. And exhale. Now seal the lips. Continue to breathe long and deep in whatever you're doing, even if you're driving. And in spirit of today's word, since I'm wearing my Nirvana t-shirt, I would like you to think of a melody in your head, one of your favorite songs, and just start singing it in your head. What emotion comes up when you start singing that song? Does someone pop into your head? Perhaps a person, a loved one, a friend, a dog, an animal? For me, there's kind of like a little Mozart funny tune playing in my head. It's very joyful and bouncy. And it brings a smile to my face. You might even be smiling right now. Now, I'd like you to tap into that emotion that you're feeling right now. And perhaps it's something that you need to let go. Maybe it's a song, like a song that brings a little bit of sadness is Hey Jude. Sadness and joy. But it's a moment that lets out emotion. And you can ask to let that emotion go. And then whatever emotion is coming up, I want you to tap in to the positive side of that emotion. Where can you find happiness, joy, elation in that emotion? And where in your body are you feeling it? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it more towards your tailbone, in your root chakra? Do you feel it in your stomach, in your gut? Do you feel it up tingling around your head? Where do you feel it? Where do you feel that emotion? Now I'd like you to see the color. If we start at our base chakra, I'll give you the colors here. We have red going up, orange. Yellow is around our navel. Green at the heart. Blue at the throat. Purple at the third eye. We move up indigo and white at our crown chakra and above our head. So what color are you seeing? Whatever color that is, I want you to amplify that in the auric field around your body. Amplify that color. Feel that emotion expanding out like you were at a concert surrounded by a whole room of people all experiencing that emotion at this time. Feel that energy. Now, pull your awareness back into yourself, back into your body. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes, roll around your head. Shake it out a little bit and open your eyes when you are ready. Okay, how do you feel? Now, the reason that I just walked you through that little experience is because I have learned that, yes, there are a couple of different specific points to the word practice. We practice so that we can work out all of the kinks. Like when I'm a musician and there's a really hard passage I'm working on, I have to work out those kinks in my practice where no one is listening to me. We also practice experiencing the emotion of whatever it is we want to do when that time comes. We practice what we're going to do. For example, if I am practicing for a big performance, let's say I am soloing with an orchestra, I am going to do the same thing in my practice sessions that I'm going to do on stage. I am going to practice what it feels like to be on stage. And for me, when I go on stage, I actually mentally put myself in the box of my practice room. So I really like my practice space. I'm extremely intentional about my practice space because I have a strong enough meditation practice and I'm a very visual learner and meditator. We would call that clairvoyant, where you can see that when I go on stage, I put myself into that space emotionally, sensationally, and I am able to just let go of everything else, let go of the audience, let go of the room, and I put myself into that space. So how you practice is extremely important for when you show up to the moment. You have to mentally be prepared and you have to have your emotions prepared. When we're talking about manifestation, Now, it is very well understood and scientifically proven that we have to connect our brain and our heart, how you think about it and how you feel about it, to manifest what you want. There are two components to that. You have to have both. And even if you're not mentally sure about how something is going to happen, that's actually better because you create space for the magic and the miracles. But if you can hang on to the emotion of whatever it is you are pulling towards you, or for me, if I'm performing, in my practice sessions, I have to be able to create the same amount of emotion that I want to perform in that piece when I'm on stage in my practice rooms. So I practice that. I practice emoting. Same thing in meditation. I practice going to an emotional space. So I would recommend that if you felt something in that little meditation that we just did, come back to this. Do it again at some point. When there's something that you want to practice, use that little 5-minute meditation. See if you can have another experience. Leave space for a different kind of experience. What else comes up when you go and do it next? Okay, let's get into today's word. Practice. Okay. So, as always, I am going to show you how I do numerology so that if you're interested in learning this science, you can go and do it as well. I teach private lessons. I teach private bassoon lessons. And one of my main goals as a teacher is to give my students tools so that they can practice on their own, so that they can practice themselves, so that they know how to do it themselves. I empower them with tools to become great leaders. So hopefully through this show, I can do the same with you. Now, what we do is we look at the full number, which comes from down here where we assign each letter a number. We look at the root, where we take the digital root, which means like if I have this number 12, for example, I add up 1 plus 2 to get 3. That's where the roots come from. We pull out the vowels to look at the soul's urge. What does the soul of the word want for itself? This tells us some of the underlying currents of what a word really means. And then how does it outwardly express itself? Sometimes these things are the same, sometimes they are different. So that is why we look at all of these parts of these words. Okay, so first let's run this down. We've got P, 16. Actually, I'm going to do the roots first because I know these better. 9, 1, 3, T is 2. I is 9, 3, 5. Okay, then if we go 18, 1, 3, 20, 9, 3, 5. Now, the way that I add up, I'll give you some shorthand math tricks here, is when I'm doing the fulls, first I pull out any tens. So I have 20 and I leave out the smallest digit. So I have 20, 30, 40. I'm going to write that over here. And then I'm going to go through, I'm going to try and find the tens again in the single digits. So I have 10. Then I'm going to add to it 14. So 10 plus 14, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 35, and then we got 75. So that's how I do shorthand math. If you start practicing that and you really force yourself to not use a calculator, you will get very good very quickly at shorthand math. And I'm going to go ahead and for my Instagram folks, show you what I am doing here. There we go. Okay, hopefully that won't fall over. Cool, you guys can see everything over here? And let's see, can we put this down a little bit more? Maybe, maybe not. You guys can see though, yeah? Can all see. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and do the root. Now, again, I'm gonna add up the tens first. So we've got 10, 20, 30, 9. Yeah? Now I know immediately 7 plus 5 is 12 to 3. Now, a quick way to do this, if you, for example, forget what is 9 plus 3, you can break down the smaller digits. So I know 9 plus 1 is 10. How many are left in that 3? 2. So I have 12. 3. Okay. Another thing is that the root and the full will always add up to be the same final number, the same final digital root. So that is your way to check if you have done your math correctly. Okay, let's pull out the vowels. So we have 1, we have 9, and we have 5. And we use A, E, I, O, U as vowels. There are certain instances where we use W and Y as vowels, and I will bring those up when that happens. But for today, we just have the normal vowels. And then consonants, 7, 9, 3, 2, 3, and that's it. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we have 15, 6, and we have 7, 10, 19, 20, 21, 24. Ooh, we have 2 6s over here. That's kind of exciting. Okay, let's dive in here. So first off, I check and see if there are any karmic numbers, which are the numbers 13, 14, 16, and 19. I don't see any karmic numbers. I also don't see either of the major master numbers that we look for, which are 11 and 22. And even when you do the roots, you leave in the master numbers. So like, for example, Kelly Castle, I have the 11s at the beginning of my name. You would leave in those 11s and the 22s to find the root. So I don't see either of those. Okay, then we move on to the next thing. Let's look, whenever we look at the full and the root, this is what we call the total expression. So this is ultimately what this word is going to express. And we look at these numbers and the root because just like a human, right? We only have the numbers 1 through 9 plus the 0 to work with. So at its root, at its core, it has a core personality. Like all apples are apples, but then you get into the different flavors of apples. And that's where you look at the next number and then sometimes even the next number. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at the variety of apple that we have. So first, looking at our root, a 3 is a creative number. It's the number of creativity. It is whenever you see 12, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, it likes to get down to basics. fundamentals. Now, it's not quite the same as 4, but A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, kind of like as a musician, I practice my scales. You have to practice your basics to move up to the next level. You have to have foundational skills. You have to practice those basics to get good at whatever it is you want to do. Okay, 1, 2, 3 basics. And we see here in 39, we are using the creativity to, so here we see creativity to complete something, to perform something. 9 is the number of performing. So we practice so that we can perform. Now, another thing to note about number 9 is that is one of the prime numbers we use to describe emotions. It's a very emotional number, right? Because it's my favorite phrase for the number 9 is the stage where the drama unfolds. It has learned the lessons of all the other numbers, and then it puts it on stage. It is the performance. So it's very dramatic. It's very emotional. So it emotes. It's also the humanitarian. Humanitarian. Sometimes now my brain thinks in numbers when I see letters. It is the humanitarian and it is the universal number. This is like a philanthropist. So the ultimate goal of practice, as you can see, 39 is to become something, to become that humanitarian, to become that philanthropist, to make it to the performance. And it does that by learning and practicing its basics. Now, if we pull off a layer and we look at the full expression, the full number, I should use the word the full number because it is the total expression we're talking about, but the root versus the full. So here we have the 75. Now, if you've watched one of my previous videos where we saw a word that had a root of 7, 7 is the number of wisdom. It's also the number of spirituality. If you see the number 7 pop up in one of your major birth name aspects, it means that it is very important for you to have a spiritual practice of some sort. That could be a religious practice. That could mean that you meditate every day. That could mean your meditation is going out and walking your dog every day and you're taking time to yourself. But if you see number 7, it means that you need to do this action and be conscious of embodying your spirituality in some way, of practicing your spirituality in some way, that is a key element of success for whatever it is you want to do. So, especially since we see this number 7 come first, order of numbers is very important. So we have the 7 and then the 5. We'll come back to that. The 5 is a curious number. How do you get better at practicing? You get curious about something you want to do or learn, right? You have to learn new things when you're practicing. That's the point, to get better. I went to a university, the Eastman School of Music at the University of Rochester, where our school motto was Meliora, means even better. And I always loved that motto because it is to make yourself better all the time. So practice has an element of curiosity and intellect. 5 is a very intellectual number. It's also kind of a number of someone who is perhaps a bit chaotic, perhaps a bit kind of just like all over the place, right? A 5 person wants freedom and is very curious about things and wants to go and have experiences. Even I'm talking very fast as I'm talking about this number. But we can see here that curiosity needs wisdom. It needs a teacher. It needs the right environment, okay? For me, that was a quiet room to myself. And most of the time, if you're studying, it's been proven that sitting in a quiet place to study, perhaps you are using some sort of binaural beats to stimulate your brain waves in a specific way. But I always found that it was much better for me to practice, especially an instrument, right? You want to be in a quiet room so you can hear yourself play. And if you are studying, you need to hear yourself think. You need to be in that state of mind. So the curiosity requires a quiet space here. That's important. Okay. And ultimately, just to go back to, so the 75 and the 39 are elements of practice. Quiet room, seeking wisdom, it's curious about it. But ultimately, the goal of practicing is to express, to create, right? In our practice, we are creating an element of ourselves. We are creating ourselves to be great musicians, to be great cooks, to be great athletes, to whatever it is you want to create of yourself. Ultimately, practice is leading to creation. So, are you seeing the power of words now? Are you seeing how if you break down the energies behind it, you could then go into your own practice and say, do I have the right environment set up for myself? Am I giving myself enough freedom to explore, to make mistakes? Am I okay making mistakes? Am I okay with pushing myself to my boundaries to be able to push past them so that I can go on to the next level and learn something new? One of the hardest things when I am practicing a very technically hard piece, especially something that's really, really fast, I have to force myself to practice fast. When I'm practicing a really fast, hard passage, I do it slowly, a million times, where I've programmed into my fingers exactly how to play that section. And then, so let's say the metronome is set at 70, and then I put it at 120, and I say, let's go. We have to try this. I have to do it. And then I find, where I get stuck again, and I go back down, I go back up, but I have to force myself to push past those limits. That is a very important element of practicing, but ultimately it is so that I can create whatever it is that I want to create, whatever I envision. And how do we do that? What was a really important element of that? You have to feel it. You have to feel it in your heart. Okay, let's look at the soul's urge of this. So at a soul level, the word practice is a 6. What are some elements of 6? 6 represents the body. We have a front, a back, an up, a down, and a side to side. 6 sides to a body. It is persons, places, and things. It is family. It is service. It is domestic. If we think of, I always relate numbers and astrology, they're ancient Hermeticism, it's ancient symbolism, sacred geometry, it's all the same thing. It's all just different expressions and reflections of the same concepts. So in astrology, the 6th house is Virgo, right? We had 4 Cancer, 5 Leo, 6 Virgo. So we've built our home. We have become the king of our home. We are full of joy for our family, love, and then you become the mother, the mothering figure that is in service of the family and the domestic life. The Virgo represents the virgin mother. It represents the woman who is working in the field to feed her family. Now, remember, that's an ancient, like, tribal way of looking at it. So it was within the tribe, the women's were the one to go and harvest the food. So it is a domestic number. 6 is also a vocal number, right? When you practice, you're doing something. When I practice, I'm vocalizing through my instrument. So it is a number that wants to express itself, especially through sound. It's very vocal. If we look at, and the more words that we do, we'll start to see these patterns, but it's fun to find other words that have the same number. So another number that has this 15-6 is name, right? We give a name to persons, places, and things. It is let's see. Yeah. Okay. So, at the soul level of practice, it is the self, right? You have to do the practicing. You have to be curious about what you're practicing, and then you have to go ahead and vocalize it. You can't just have the knowledge and let it sit up here, right? Especially in the times that we're living in now. Anyone can go online and Google, a question and find the answer. It's instant nowadays. But what are you actually doing with that information? You have to vocalize it in some way. 5 is also another word that comes up is bold for 15-6. Right? We already talked about how you have to be fearless when you're practicing. You have to be okay with making mistakes. Now, it's interesting that the soul's urge to go ahead and vocalize what the self has learned, gotten curious about, right? The outward expression of it, though, when we practice, we're in our own room. So the 2 is shy, quiet. It does its practicing on its own. And it does it to establish a foundation. That's the point of practicing, right? So that you can go and be the rock star on the stage. But while it's doing this, it still has to vocalize what it is practicing, right? Sometimes, like as a private lesson teacher, I am helping my students prepare for a chair test. They have to go and vocalize what it is that they practiced that week. So ultimately, that is the outward expression of this word. And I think that it's really beautiful that the soul's urge and the outward expression really align here. Yeah, we already used the words responsible. I'll just write them down here. Someone who is a 4, especially, number 4 is responsible. Responsible. Dependable. Some words that also have this 24-6. So 24 6-word. Oops. 24 6 words are wealth. Ooh. If you practice, you can manifest wealth. Mature. You practice to mature. Succeed. Okay, I'm liking this word, practice. That's why it's one of my favorite words. Husband, right? That's 6. Very domestic word. And lovable. If you'd like to be lovable, practice how you want to be lovable. Practice tapping into that emotion. What does it feel like to be lovable? Okay, let's look and see. Is there anything else? Now, let's look at 2 more things here. So, if we just write down the letters in horizontal order, so we can just see here 7 9 1 3 2 9 3 5. So there is no, if we look at all the numbers that are here and we compare it to one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We see that there's a number 4, though it's not very strong. That's kind of interesting, right? We see 4, but we only see it come up once. We see 7. Let's see if we go through. We see some 1s, some 2s, 3. We only see 4 once. 5. We see come up a couple times. 6, 7. We don't see any 8s. Okay. So we found that later on, succeed came up with this 24 6 word. Ultimately, outwardly, that's what it wanted. However, that's not a core foundation. Being the conservative boss, that's what I would call number 8, or the concept of infinity, is not really in this word practice. And we see 1 9. Again, not a super strong number in this. It's not an ultimate goal. It cares more about the basics. That's really important to this number. The 1, 2, 3. The beginning. Remember, if we look at the number line, this is the self. So practice is primarily concerned with creating the self. One, two, three. You practice to make yourself better. But it still needs wisdom. We still do have a little bit of the ultimate goal is performance. And 7 comes first. So even though we don't see 7 come up a lot, it comes up in the full as the first number is the full. The personality of 7, the first letter of a name is the personality of a person. So it does seek to be wise. That's how it's going to express itself. We have 2 9s in there. Followed by 9, another 9. It's a number. This is what I do for fun. So when you start digging in, you look and you see all these layers first, right? We went through, we looked at the total expression, we break it down even more, we keep pulling down the layers. Then if you go another step and you start to look at the root numbers written out, So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, that's where our 8 sits. There are 8 numbers. So in a name, the number of letters in a name describes the habits. Ooh, look at that. Okay, I love it when I find these connections. The number of letters in a name describes habits. Would you say that a successful habit for a high performer or someone who wants to do well in whatever it is they're wanting to do is to practice, is to become great at practicing, to succeed at whatever they want to do? Yes, I would say so. So this is the pretty phenomenal thing about doing numerology and breaking down words, is you see all the little intricacies in there when you start to break this down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this number is evenly balanced. There's no one middle number. Like in 1 through 9, we have 5 as that middle fulcrum. But here, it's evenly balanced. It's both male and female. 2 and 3, which is a 5, by the way. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Now, I will just note there are positive and negative sides to words and letters and numbers. So you got to look at both, the good and the bad. So what can happen if you practice too much? The negative side of a 3 would go like this. Okay, can we all... We'll write it right in here. Oh, I can't. It's not going to let me do that. You know what? Okay, I'll write it right in here. Okay, the negative side of a 3 is that you're going to stress and strain and scatter. If you practice too long and too much, you can actually do more damage to your performance or whatever it is you're practicing. Like if I try and change too many things in the couple of days leading up to a performance, I'm going to be pretty stressed. I'm going to be stressed to remember all the new things that I just added. The negative side of 3 is that also it can lack boundaries. That is why I love that we see, again, in the outward expression, it needs that 4. It needs a form in which to learn, in which to practice, to have boundaries. You have to know your boundaries before you can push past your boundaries. Another negative side is that, let's see, it can be critical. This is more for 6s. Critical, corrupt, foolish. 6s in the 39 versus the 75. Critical, corrupt, foolish, right? If you have an idea about something, you haven't totally worked it out, and then you go out there and, or even then you bomb the performance. That happens too. Yeah, so, okay, for our 15-6, the opposite side of this, words that come up are hatred, battle, and war. Sometimes when you're in the practice room, it feels like you're at war with something. Sometimes you feel like you're at war or you're in battle with a passage. I know this feeling, but you want to strive for the other things. You want to fall back on the things you can depend on. You still want to be responsible. You're still seeking to establish a foundation. Okay. I think that for right now, we've pulled a good amount out of this word. Wouldn't you agree? I hope so. So, I hope you have learned something today. Again, please let me know what it is you've learned. I would love to hear it. Leave a comment on this video, give it a thumbs up if you did learn something. On Instagram, you can post a comment to the word for today or even send me a DM. Again, I will be here Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. Subscribe to the channel so that you get notified when a new video goes up. Share the video with a friend if you learned something today. If you feel compelled, you can support the show by giving a donation at the link below. Every bit helps so that I can bring you more of this content. And finally, as I mentioned in the beginning, I do this work one-on-one with people to look at the blueprint you came here on this earth with. If you have seen how we went through and dissected this word, well, guess what? We do the same thing with your name and your birth chart. And that is called your astrology chart. And we look at the numerology of your birth name. It will show you why you are the way you are, why certain things happen in your life, why you have certain habits, likes, disliked, guaranteed. There is a Calendly link below to see all of the readings that I offer and sign up for a reading. You can also gift a reading to someone. So I would love to work with you. Thank you so much for watching. I am so grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you, YouTube family. Thank you, Instagram family. This is so much fun for me, and I'm grateful I get to share this knowledge and wisdom with an audience. Peace, love, and blessings. Use your words consciously, my friends. See you next time.